And the headphones just make your head look really wide. I like it.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to keep my hood
welcome.
on out of spite.
Spite to who?
Myself.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm E.T.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where tipsy teachers teach fascinating lessons.
Yes. What am I drinking? Well, that's a great question.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if we were going to address my super funny E.T. joke.
They don't
before.
need to know. It's none of their business.
Haley told me I look like E.T. Okay, moving on.
She does look like E.T. She has a hood on, and with her headphoes, it makes her head look really wide, and like she's E.T. under the hood.
It's fucking cold
She's
in
E.T.
here. What are we drinking, bitch?
A Kirkland signature hard seltzer. I don't know why that made me laugh. But yeah, we got off-brand White Claws from Costco.
They're good. They taste exactly the same.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're more bang for your buck. That's why I love
True.
Costco.
Yeah.
I get so excited for Costco days. I'm like truly an adult. Every day there's something where I'm like, am I an adult? Is it me?
I want to go to Costco with you.
You should go.
I know.
We just need to schedule a time. I need to force you to commit and then drag you.
What do
along with me.
you get at Costco though? Because I feel like everything is it's too big for two people.
I got some no-show socks.
Okay, that's a good buy.
They were like, I think an 8-pack for $2.50. So I got 2 of those.
Okay.
We got a huge thing of soy sauce. So we don't need soy sauce for a while.
Do you
So
go
that
through
is a
that
huge
much
thing.
soy sauce?
I mean, we eat sushi pretty often.
A lot of soy sauce.
It's that big gallon thing.
Alec and I have been working on 1 bottle of soy sauce for 2 years.
Sorry, you can't level up.
That's true. I guess I need to eat more sushi.
The fruit there is great. It's always good, cheaper. You don't have to buy in bulk. If you're into frozen things, they have a great freezer section.
But the stuff is so big.
It's not all
Our
that
freezer
big.
is tiny. We have one of
That's
those little
true.
micro
It's a
freezers.
little baby freezer. Yeah.
I guess you have Tommy's house. You can put stuff in. I feel like I can never buy much groceries because we don't have much room.
Yeah, we
splitting
just
it between so many people.
keep most of the things at Tommy's house. It's my second house, really, is what it is.
It's like a storage facility.
It is. Truly. I've started actually decorating his place. I was on a run the other day and I found this wicker cabinet you can hang on the wall by the side of the road. And I was like, that's cute. Let me just make a mental note. If it's there when I get back, I'm going to bring it in. And sure enough, it was there. And there's no storage in the bedroom bathroom at his house. So
Okay.
I finessed myself some garbage storage.
You need to decorate that place because I'm sorry, Tommy, but it really needs it.
That ain't it. Yeah.
It looks like someone is moving out.
Yeah, it really does. I'm going to move my desk over to his house that's at our house right now
Okay.
because I never use it. No one ever uses it. It just
No.
collects dust and junk mail.
Yeah.
So his ex-girlfriend had left her desk there when they broke up a couple years ago, and she texted him a couple months ago like, hey, can I get my desk back? So he's been without a desk. I walked in the other day and he was just sitting on the ground using his desktop.
In an empty room.
In an empty
because
room.
that house is empty besides his couch and his bed.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there.
He just doesn't care. Well, there's a rug in the front room now. There's a desk in there. I have installed several lamps. Things are
Things
are
are
happening.
looking up.
Yes.
For a
It's
while
much
it was
needed.
bleak.
It was bleak. It felt like punishment being in there.
What is with men and not putting any effort into decorating
They don't
their
care.
homes?
They don't care.
It was like that at my ex-boyfriend's house. For one of the houses he lived in college, it literally looks like not somewhere people live. There's nothing in there.
Right. You walk in and first red flag, especially in college, is they've got their mattress on the floor.
That is a big one.
Huge
Yep.
red flag. And then maybe they have a poster up, but it's not in a frame or anything. It might be taped to the
Unframed
wall.
posters, man.
And it's all askew. They don't have a hamper. Their stuff is just piled.
a tapestry, a hanging. I put up a tapestry in one of my boyfriend's houses because it was literally the living room was it. so depressing because they were living in a basement, had nothing on the walls. The only thing in there was the TV on a TV stand and a couch, not even a coffee table. And I was
Male
like,
and
let
female
me
brains.
just put up something. It's not cute, but like,
Yeah, let me
I
feel like I'm
can't.
not in a prison
Yeah.
in here.
or worse.
Yeah. I'm
It felt like
being
a
held
liminal
down here.
space. Yeah. It was so bad.
Mhm.
So, men, get it together.
Yeah, I was talking to our roommate Kelly the other day, and I was like, "Do I want to move in with Tommy, or do I just want to decorate his house?" And that's a really serious question I need to explore.
I mean, it could be a lot nicer. I love his apartment.
I know
All
it's
it
nice.
needs is a little TLC.
big time TLC.
Big time TLC.
Big.
That's
I also
true.
got a rocking chair. Someone had
You
a
did?
rocking chair out on the side of this on the side of the road. And I brought it up. He's like just shaking his head. I'm like, these cost a lot of money.
I love a good rocking chair.
Me too. It's not in the best shape. It needs to be sanded down and painted over.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for the front porch. It's nice.
That's great.
It's a fucking rocking chair.
I would love to have a rocking chair. My parents had one growing up, and it was like my favorite thing.
Let's just go to Cracker Barrel and get some grits and rocking chairs.
I have never been to a Cracker Barrel, but I'm intrigued.
I have been so many times. I can show you
Why?
the ropes because I grew up in a town called Milford, Ohio.
I guess. Cracker Barrels are everywhere, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But there was one right by the Target, and the movie theater is like the town center.
Is it like,
And they have really good Coke cake.
what the fuck is that?
It's a chocolate cake made with Coca-Cola. And
that
it
sounds
is
disgusting.
It sounds disgusting. It is so fucking good. It's ridiculous, actually.
I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me. I know.
Alec, have you had Coke cake?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Just another reason for us to go to Cracker Barrel.
Is there a Cracker Barrel nearby?
Just saying Cracker Barrel makes me feel like I'm being racist.
What? Why?
It just seems like probably a lot of racist people eat there.
Probably.
I'm sure there's a Cracker Barrel nearby.
You're right, it does sound kind of racist.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it does a little bit.
Let's see, Cracker Barrel near me.
I just feel like Cracker Barrel is where you take your grandma who lives in an old folks home when you visit her.
She's
Go out to
like,
lunch.
oh, look at this. This is
Look at all these
luxury."
racists. I feel right at home.
There's one in West Memphis. There's one on like out towards Germantown, but north. And there's one in Mississippi.
Wow, we have choices.
We have
There's
options. Let's just go to all three and rate them.
Sounds good. Well, I have some plugs if we want
Plug
to
it.
stop talking about Cracker Barrel for a
Yeah,
second.
we do.
No, don't stop.
Yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was 2 days ago. We recorded with Tales We Tell.
Yes, we did. How did I was like, what are you about to say? Yes, the Tales We Tell podcast with Hannah and Katie.
Mm-hmm. It was a blast on their podcast. They just talk about like lore and spooky stuff and some true crime, and they're great storytellers and researchers and so much fun. We had a blast with them, and you can listen to that. We just like sat there with them and chatted. They interviewed us about our haunted house, and that episode is out. It came out yesterday, so you can go listen to it. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I'm excited. We got to have them on, do a little Patreon episode with them.
Definitely.
Because I need to do that again.
That is for sure in the works. And speaking of Patreon, if you're a Patreon and you're interested in doing a secret Krampus, which is just what we are calling Secret Santa with our Patreons, please go to Patreon and fill out the interest survey. I just wanted to figure out like your guys' opinions on like the price range we want to do, and if you have any extra suggestions. So fill that out, and then we'll put out the official Google form for the sign up. I plan on doing it on the 25th, unless I forget. But it should be there
Yes.
around then.
We'll make it happen.
Remind me if it's not up. I will put it up, and then we can sign up and buy each other presents.
I thought you were just gonna say I plan on doing it, and then just that's it. Like I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. We'll see. And I was like, Kat, no, this was your idea.
No. It's a Secret Krampus is going to happen.
Yes, it's
but
happening.
I putting a specific date on this. Maybe I'll post it before the 25th, and then it will be there by the 25th. And the 25th is when like next week's episode comes out, which is why I picked that date so we could plug it again on that episode and tell you guys to go sign up. But please do that. Hayley, me, Tommy, and Alec will all be participating, and I'm really excited to shop for whoever I get.
Right. I'm gonna pull Michael Scott and just get something outrageously expensive and awesome.
I know. We're setting that price
Just kidding.
limit, but I'm like, I feel like we're the parents of Christmas and we're allowed to go over the price limit. Nobody else is, but we are.
We are. We're going to. We kind of have to.
Yeah, I'm going to go crazy.
I'm so excited. We need to go to some really cute like shops in
I
town and get little
know.
small businessy good stuff.
That's what I was planning. And it's so sad. There was a store called Ixora, which also had a podcast studio in the back. And they had like the best, like cute, locally made stuff from local artists. And they just unfortunately closed a few months ago. And I'm like, I don't know where to go besides there. We need to find something.
There are a bunch on a different road.
Really?
Yeah, on Broad Avenue.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
We'll go. We'll go
Yes.
shopping.
Oh, yes, we will.
I'm so excited. So definitely go sign up. It's going to be really, really fun. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we breathalyzed.
You sure did.
I blew a .046.
I blew a .020. Sorry, it took me a second. I was on my Cracker Barrel Coke Cake Google page.
You Googled it?
Yeah.
Why? You know it exists.
Because I just need to make sure that I wasn't being crazy.
You didn't dream it.
Yeah. I needed to just double check my sanity.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it's actually, I don't know if I'm glad it's real, but
I
think I'm glad.
It's so good.
it just looks like a brownie.
Yeah. But it's not just a brownie.
Why not just eat a brownie? Why put Coca-Cola
Because
in
I
it?
think maybe I don't know, it's addicting. Like there's actual Coke the drug in it.
Wow, if
Not that I would
that's the
know.
case.
That changes
I'll be singing a different
things.
tune. Just kidding. Well, I'm going first this week, and this topic of Coke cake is pretty fitting because I want to do a quick trigger warning. Quick trigger warning for eating disorders. If talking about diets and diet culture like it hurts your mental health, definitely skip this lesson because we're going to talk about one specific diet. And to be clear, just to put this out in front of the episode, I wrote this while eating Doritos and Halloween candy, so I am in no way claiming to be a leading authority on health or shame anyone about their food choices. I want to make that abundantly clear because I feel like when I put out the Insane Clown Posse episode, I had a lot of people coming for me, and I feel like this diet community is ready to come for me after they hear this. But you know what? I'm not telling anyone what to do. If you like to do that, go for it. But I think it's really interesting. And today we're talking about the paleo diet.
Oh, nice. Good. I've seen so many, like on my Explore page, so many videos that have to do with paleo, whether it's pro paleo or anti paleo.
People have very strong opinions.
Yes.
Either way. And that's why I'm a little scared because I got beat up by juggalos many a time. And I'll probably get beat up by paleos
At
too.
least
but
your
it's okay.
juggalo name wasn't pussy.
Actually, it also is. Cotton candy is also another euphemism for pussy, apparently. But
Just
the
everything is
commenter
pussy.
didn't say that. Yeah. Because I went and looked up, when I looked up yours, I was like, juggalo speak, and they have like 1,000 words for pussy. So, you know what? I don't really care that you guys are coming for me. Whatever. You're not. Never mind. So, okay. Let's get into it. Vladimir Averbuk is seemingly a normal web manager living in New York City. He drives a red smart car, he has red hair, and most of his meals are raw, grass-fed ground beef that he eats with his hands.
Nothing is normal so far.
Yeah, what was his name?
Vladimir Averbuk. I think he's Ukrainian. Vladimir is part of a tribe of modern day cavemen who believe that humans were healthiest over 10,000 years ago during the Paleolithic era and seek to replicate parts of their lifestyle.
So they don't believe in evolution?
No, they do.
They're like, this is de-evolution.
They believe we haven't changed in 10,000 years, which is a very popular and false belief in the paleo community.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm,
They're
mhm,
like,
mhm.
we get a picture of him. He just has a really broad bone structure. We're like,
that's
I see where this is all rooted
mhm.
in. Yes.
We're the problem.
the brows.
The tribe's leader, John Durant, is also a pretty normal guy who works in advertising. He shares a 5th floor apartment with his 3 roommates and his 3-foot-tall meat freezer that holds his organ meat and deer ribs.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That could easily be human meat, somebody that he murdered.
Honestly,
I'm just really coming in strong
human meat
with all
is
these
probably paleo.
criticisms. Probably. I mean, I would like to know how often it was that cavemen did eat.
There was an article that mentioned like they like cherry pick things about the cavemen lifestyle that they like want to do and don't do, including like not eating human meat, which is probably a common
did
practice
at some point, whether it was,
cavemen for sure, but like the paleo community, like I don't think most of them eat human. At least I hope not. Together, they eat large amounts of animal meat intermittently with 24 to 36 hour fasts between meals to stimulate the time that would have happened between hunts if we were cavemen.
Why? Why though?
Because it's healthy, Hayley. They shun bread and other processed foods, and the more zealous
they're just wagging their finger
I
at
shun
bread.
you, bread.
they hate bread, you guys.
That's what's wrong with them.
Some of the more zealous members even refuse to eat quote unquote new world vegetables like tomatoes and pumpkins because cavemen wouldn't have had those.
Or broccoli.
Or
broccoli is man-made.
Ironically, yes, broccoli, kale, and cauliflower are man-made, but like I think a lot of like that's part of the paleo diet. So they really pick and choose here. And most paleo people, I think, do eat tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. It's only like the really intense people, like the ones I'm talking about now, that don't.
I feel like if you're paleo, you're gonna be intense, no matter.
Definitely.
What?
With anything that's like all or nothing like this, it's certainly intense. Their exercise routines focus on short bursts of sprinting and jumping to mimic running from predators.
Yeah, they just chase random people in the city.
Well, they do run barefoot and shirtless through
Jesus
New York
Christ.
City, even in the freezing winter. Another common activity of this group of cavemen is giving blood.
Cavemen wouldn't run. I'm sorry, I need to go back. They're not going to run shirtless, though. If they're in a cold environment, the cavemen aren't going to strip down.
Well, they might not have. I don't know. They probably were outside in the cold a lot. I think
They probably had skins.
I think the point is like feeling the cold weather, because like now as soft modern humans, we're always wearing coats and boots, and we never like feel nature the way God intended.
God. Womanly modern humans.
Yes.
These guys sound like they're borderline Proud Boys.
There's a lot of intersection between those two demographics, I'm sure. So like I said, a lot of times they'll give blood like pretty regularly because ancient humans were wounded. So like this idea of bloodletting, it's like every once in a while, like you lose a lot of blood and that's somehow healthy. Nothing wrong with giving blood. But the reasoning here I think is a little strange.
Yeah, it's a good thing, but couldn't be me. I passed out one time giving blood and never again will I.
The first time I gave blood in high school, the thing fell out of my like vein, but it was still in my arm. So it was leaking my own blood back into my arm, and I had a bruise that covered literally my whole arm from my shoulder to my elbow.
Jeez.
It was so
There's just
purple.
way too much that can go wrong.
I mean, it still give blood, but like it was very traumatizing. And I showed her because like I could tell something was wrong. Like you could see the bruise developing and like I hadn't been looking at it because I was scared. And then I looked over and I had this giant bruise on my arm. So I called the nurse over and she's like, oh, and then fixed it and then kept drawing my blood. It's like,
that's ridiculous.
Maybe this is when we take a break.
Yeah, I was so pissed. They threw my blood away.
What? Why?
Yeah, because I passed out and I was seizing. So like my arm was like
You
this.
seized?
I seized and I peed my pants. I lost all muscular
God.
control. Yeah, it
What?
was a big deal.
Did you like not eat anything that day?
I had like a little breakfast like cookie type thing, but not enough.
You know, a breakfast cookie?
It was one of those like oatmeal cookie packs. Yeah.
It was not paleo. Maybe if you had eaten a paleo snack, you
Maybe
would have
so.
been fine.
Yeah, I could still be giving blood to this day.
So these people are not your typical followers of the paleo diet. They are extreme. The paleo diet, just in general, is also called the Paleolithic diet, the cavemen diet, the Stone Age diet, and it's a fad diet that tries to emulate how early humans ate during the pre-agriculture Paleolithic period between 2.5 million and 10,000 years ago. The diet focuses on eating mostly vegetables, fruits, nuts, roots, and a lot of meat. And it prohibits foods like dairy products, grains, sugar, legumes, processed oils, salt, alcohol, and coffee. So basically you eat fruits, vegetables, and meat without like any carbs or dairy.
And you don't cook it.
You do cook it. Most of them cook. That guy Vladimir, like he was on the intense side. Most people cook it.
I didn't know that. I thought everything was raw.
No. Most people cook it. He is a little extra.
Do they cook the vegetables too?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they cook it. It's
I thought that it was just straight up
no
cooking.
It's basically just like a no carb diet type thing.
Sustainable.
Not at all. The reason behind this diet isn't entirely new. As early as the 1890s, writers were advocating for what they called, quote unquote, primitive diets. In 1952, author Arnold de Vries wrote about an early version of the paleo diet in his book, Primitive Man and His Food. In 1958, Richard Macarness wrote Eat Fat and Grow Slim, which proposed a low-carb Stone Age diet. Then there was the 1975 book called The Stone Age Diet, written by gastroenterologist Walter J. Vogtelen.
What is up with these names?
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's not me, it's the names. In the book, he argued that up until 10,000 years ago, humans were exclusively what he called flesh eaters. And we should be eating a diet of mainly meat with small portions of vegetables and starchy foods, which, like, not accurate.
Oh, God. That just...
Imagine eating mainly
can smell
meat.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, you would stink. You would stink.
So bad.
Mm-hmm. In 1985, Stanley Boyd Eaton and Melvin Connor published an article in the New England Journal of Medicine that claimed modern humans are very similar biologically to our Stone Age ancestors, and therefore we are, quote unquote, genetically programmed to thrive on pre-agricultural diets. The theory is that agriculture developed faster than the human body was able to adapt. So... And they go on to argue.
Such an interesting statement to make, as if human evolution is like directly related to agriculture development.
No. They're saying that, like, quite on the contrary, is that like agriculture has been developing rapidly, but like our evolution hasn't caught up. So we are healthiest when we're eating like a pre-agricultural diet. It progressed faster. They go on to argue that the modern diet is to blame for things like obesity and diabetes. In the 21st century, the diet attracted a really large internet following and has blossomed into a $500 million industry. And I don't know when that article was written, but I would venture to bet that it's even more than that now. Mm-hmm. In 2002, Lauren Cordain, health scientist and PhD in physical education, published a book called The Paleo Diet, thus coining the term. In it, he claims that the genetics of humans have remained unchanged for 10,000 years, and the paleo diet is, quote, the one and only diet that ideally fits our genetic makeup. He and other paleo advocates support the evolutionary discordance hypothesis that states, quote, many chronic diseases and degenerative conditions evident in modern Western populations have arisen because of a mismatch between the Stone Age genes and modern lifestyles.
Everything is chaos, and it's all because we don't eat enough vegetables
And meat.
And
yeah.
meat.
I think like
solely.
Grains, I think, are the big thing to blame here, at least according to these people.
Yeah.
And it's just, we have changed in 10,000 years.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
And like, for sure, obviously processed foods are unhealthy, but like we've been eating grains, like wild grains, forever.
Yeah.
That's not new. Studies have shown some possible benefits of the diet, mainly coming from the fact that it cuts out, like I said, processed foods and sugar. So obviously, if you cut out all junk food and sugar, like you're going to see some benefits.
Yeah, they're pointing to it like, look, it works.
Exactly.
But it's like, okay, you have to look at the full picture.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Cutting out, yeah, totally. Like all you're doing is the benefits are from cutting out junk food.
Yeah.
Studies on the diet are often small, flawed, and there aren't very many of them. There's some evidence to suggest that the paleo diet does cause weight loss. One trial on obese postmenopausal women found that it did lead to weight loss after 6 months, but they stopped losing weight after 24 months. And 24 months is 2 years, so I feel like that's probably to be expected. You kind of reach your homeostasis after that amount of time. But the trial members' side effects included weakness, headaches, and diarrhea.
Yeah, those are some pretty pretty bad downsides, if you ask me.
Not great. In trials by the University of Lund, it improved the glucose tolerance of 29 individuals with ischemic heart disease, which is more than it improved with a Mediterranean-like diet. So that's good. And Mediterranean diets are often like held up as like a standard of health. So that was interesting. It also improved the glycemic control and several cardiovascular risk factors compared to a diabetes diet in 13 patients with type 2 diabetes.
13 is not a very big sample size.
Exactly. It just hasn't been studied like very fully. So like, of course, there's going to be some studies that show it's good and like some that are bad because there aren't very many of them.
No wonder you have doubts. We just haven't gotten enough studies.
Right. In another study, it was shown to prevent cardiovascular diseases. And so like the paleo diet can have some short-term benefits if done perfectly and if not taken too far. Like if you're eating a good balance of meat and vegetables, like sure, it won't be damaging, but a lot of people, you know, have the tendency to like think this means let's gorge on raw ground beef, which is probably not the best.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Most dietitians and doctors stay pretty wary of the paleo diet. If you Google the paleo diet, most articles are anti, unless you're like searching for benefits. It, like any diet also that reduces calories like will lead to weight loss.
Yeah.
And in most cases, the paleo diet does reduce calories because you're cutting out carbs, sugar, dairy, and junk food. So that stands to reason. So, but like it also, it's like, it's not necessarily that eating all this meat and vegetables is good. It's that cutting out junk food and calories is what's leading to these results.
That's what's good. You get into a calorie deficit.
Right.
And there you go. You've lost weight and you have to eat so many vegetables and fruits to actually get up to, you know, the amount of calories you should eat in a day because you need to eat more than just vegetables and fruit.
Totally. And also, like we said just a second ago, what people tend to take this too far and take this as meaning I'm going to eat a ton of meat. And eating large amounts of meat leads to overconsumption of saturated fats and cholesterol. When our ancestors were eating lots of meat, it was wild game and fish, which are lean and they're really high in omega-3 fats. But meat now usually comes from livestock, which are high in saturated fat. Also, I just think it's ironic that like they're advocating for like non-agricultural food when like beef and poultry are agricultural foods, like just the same way as anything else is.
Mm-hmm.
Our cavemen did not eat beef.
Not once, probably in any of our lives, unless you just straight up shot the cow yourself, has anyone ever had wild beef.
Is a wild beef even were there wild, like bison? I know about bison.
Bison, yeah.
But bison
Deer.
Is a deer beef?
It's not beef. I'm just thinking meat.
Meat, yes. But like deer.
Deer cow.
Where did cows come from?
I think they were just domesticated hoofed animals, yeah.
Like from what? Like oxen?
An ox is just a
There are wild
cattle used for labor.
Yeah, but like what? Because bison were in North America, and I think
there are wild cows.
Did Britain not have cows? Or like did Europe and everywhere else besides North America not have?
No. Well,
cows?
there are wild cows in Costa Rica.
Oh, but those are probably like escaped cows.
No, they are wild cows in Costa Rica.
Cattle are descended from a wild ancestor called the aurochs. Aurochs. The aurochs were huge animals which originated on the subcontinent of India and then spread into China, Middle East, and eventually North Africa and Europe. Let's see if there's a picture of them.
Okay, so they're from India.
Yeah. I'll get back to you on what they looked like.
But either way, not many people.
What
I'm
were
sure
we
the
talking
aurochs
about?
is different from cows. So I just find it funny.
Yeah, they totally cherry pick.
Mm-hmm. Some nutrients that the paleo diet tends to lack are iron, zinc, calcium, folate, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B12, and phosphorus.
I know exactly what that means.
It means it tends to lack vitamins because we get a lot of our vitamins from grains and dairy. And like, again, if this really is your jam, like I'm not saying it can't be done in a healthy way. When I was vegan, people were always like, oh my God, like, do you get enough protein? Do you get enough vitamins? And it's like, yes, like this is the 21st century. You can take a supplement. You can like get proteins from like a lot of things. Like it was just like really fucking annoying. So like there's definitely a way to do this and get everything you need.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't do it right. And that leads to some issues. But like in my opinion, one really stupid part about this diet is the delusion that ancient humans ever ate like that at all. The data used in Cordain's 2002 book, The Paleo Diet, was gathered from only 6 modern hunter-gatherer groups. One of the groups was the Kang, who live in northern Namibia, southern Angola, and Botswana. They were only studied for a month for his book. And another was the Inuit in Arctic regions of Greenland, Canada, and Alaska. Studying so few groups for such a small amount of time paints a really incomplete picture of what a hunter-gatherer diet really is. And also, like, they may be hunter-gatherers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, they are eating the same things that their ancestors 10,000 years ago did.
Yeah, because we've changed.
Exactly.
And also, if you're going to do that, you need to get the full screenshot of like the year because that drastically changes what people eat.
Exactly. You can't just study a group for 1 month and be like, this is what they eat, because weather changes what you fucking eat, especially when you're a hunter-gatherer.
That's like looking at what I'm eating this week. I'm on my period right now and it's mostly chocolate. That's not a full, the full.
I want to do the Hayley
everything.
diet where I eat mostly chocolate.
Yeah. You should. It's really good for you. You get all the nutrients that you need, except for a few others. And it's beneficial because it'll make you really happy.
Done. The diets vary a ton geographically, too. The percentage of animal-derived calories ranges from 25% in the Gui people of southern Africa to 99% in the Alaskan Nanamute. So, there's no one hunter-gatherer diet. It really heavily depends on where you are, what time of year it is, what year it is in general.
What you're hunting, what you're gathering.
Exactly. So you can't really boil it down and be like, this is a hunter-gatherer diet because it's so incredibly diverse. There's also a lot of misconceptions about early humans that the paleo community and especially the like really intense modern caveman community tend to have. I found this cool article called Paleo Mythic, How People Really Lived During the Stone Age by Marlene Zuck. And she does a good job of stating like the myth believed by the paleo community and then disproving it with science. So this next part is mostly taken from her, and we're just going to go through a few of these myths.
Yay.
Number one, this idea that the Stone Age humans only or mostly ate meat is fundamentally untrue. Fossils of hominins had strong premolar teeth, which would have been used to open seeds and chew starchy roots. In 2010, scientists found bits of plant and root on a 30,000-year-old grinding stones in archaeological sites in Italy, Russia, and the Czech Republic. So this shows that people were grinding down starchy plants to essentially make like flatbreads all the way back 30,000 years ago. Researchers again point out that there's no one hunter-gatherer diet, and just like today, like diets really depended on people's location.
Location.
That's right. Like some places like barely ate any meat and some ate pretty much only meat. Like it just really depends. Myth number two, that this belief that humans spent a lot of their time sprinting barefoot after prey. If you remember in the beginning, I said like a lot of paleo people like do like sprinting workouts. Yeah. On his blog, paleo lifestyle coach Arthur Devaney writes, quote, high intensity, intermittent, and brief training mixed with power walking and play is closer than anaerobic exercise, high volume weight training, or sedentism to how our ancestors lived. So like he is saying that like sprinting, you know, and like high intensity, like quick workouts is the way to go. But this is probably not true. Scientists argue that running long distances is healthy and like our human bodies are specifically evolved to do so. We have skeletal features to run at a marathon like pace, and this probably evolved because we were persistence hunters. Mm-hmm. Instead of just running after prey, early humans probably jogged after prey until it fell from exhaustion, because we can run a lot farther. We're slower than prey animals, but we can run farther than them. So we can just like exhaust them to death.
What's incredible to me is the amount of things that I've caught on over time that people just make up. And they say that it's true.
It's literally all so made up. And that's like why I wanted to do this, because it's just like, it's all not real.
And like so many people buy into it. You said $500 million industry.
And it's like, sure, like there might be half truths in a lot of this stuff. And also, sure, you can find research that like says the opposite, but the vast majority is saying that like this stuff is not true.
Yeah, so if you look hard enough, you can find anything on the internet to support what you choose to believe.
And like I'm just really critical of the people that like say like this is the way, like when it's untrue. Like if eating paleo like makes you feel good and you like it and you're not dumb about it, like that's like I do not care. But like it's the really like intense people that I'm just like, oh my god,
chill out.
One intense paleo thing that they may actually have right is that running barefoot is better. There's a growing amount of research that suggests that heavily structured and padded shoes actually increase the rate of injury rather than prevent it, which is why there's like this growing trend of like barefoot running and minimalist shoes. So just wanted to throw the bone out there for that.
I have heard that. I do hate the toe shoes though.
They are very ugly.
Those are bad.
So your spine alignment might be better, but at what cost?
Not for fashion, not me.
Myth number 3, some modern cavemen argue for promiscuity and polyamory since they believe that's how the cavemen did it.
Yeah.
And like I want to be up, like there's nothing wrong with these things if it's between consenting adults, but this claim that humans are naturally poly might not be accurate. It might be, but we can't say it like definitely. Some mammals do mate for life, especially those with high maintenance offspring, like our own.
Humans.
Like humans. Also, species with more polygamy or more polyamory tend to have greater size differences between males and females. But in the grand scheme of things, males and females and humans are like actually pretty close to the same size compared to other species. So that like sets us up to be a little bit more biologically monogamous. And while monogamy within the context of marriage is, of course, a social construct, humans may have always naturally committed to our mates, at least for the time that it takes to raise their offspring.
Yeah, at least the wives did.
Right. That's the last I have from Zuck's article, but like I have another myth that just like came up a lot, and it's already come up a lot in this lesson, is that a pillar of the paleo belief system is that human genetics, especially our digestive systems, have remained unchanged for 10,000 years. This is just blatantly false and not based on any hard evidence. Beginning with the fact that we have always adapted to ingest a variety of foods, and we evolve really quickly to incorporate new things into our diet. That's part of the reason why humans have been so successful in our evolution.
Stay on top.
We stay on top.
Except for lactose. Cannot do lactose.
Well, actually, lactose is a major example of our ability to adapt. So, no. But
well, could be better.
Well, 10,000 years ago, no humans could digest
None at all.
lactose past
That's crazy.
infancy. None at all. And lactose is milk's primary sugar, and our bodies stopped producing lactase after breastfeeding age. So just completely couldn't do it.
Right. All it took was the one mom to breastfeed her kid until he was 10 and really open up the doors for evolution.
Well, it was probably a mutation that occurred from birth, but that would be funny. Some cultures do breastfeed for like a much longer time,
yes.
but that's not what caused this change. Now 35% of the human population is lactose tolerant. So not everyone, but a sizable chunk. Estimates of when this happened vary a lot. Scientists guess that the gene mutation that allows us to digest lactose showed up anywhere between 2 and 20,000 years ago.
Whoa.
This sounds like a pretty big range, but in the grand scheme of things, this is like whether it's 2 or 20,000, this is a really quick amount of time for such like a major evolutionary adaptation.
Yeah.
Dairy and grains are two of the foods that the paleo diet avoids, but people started eating wild grains at least 20,000 years ago, though domestication of these wild grains didn't take place until 10,000 years ago. Since then, wheat and rye have been staples of our diet, and very few people have any issues digesting them. The frequency of things like celiac disease, which causes you the inability to digest gluten, were no higher then than they are now. Mm-hmm. And it's possible that we've evolved to digest starches even better than our ancestors.
Good.
Right.
Trying to eat a lot of pasta.
Thank God. Amylase is an enzyme in saliva that helps us digest starch, and descendants of agricultural peoples from West Eurasia and Mesoamerica are twice as likely to have extra copies of the gene that makes amylase, so it was probably naturally selected for. Alcohol is another thing that paleo dieters avoid, but cavemen were probably making alcohol.
People done had been making alcohol and
Yeah.
drinking it.
Fucking elephants make alcohol. Like,
Yeah.
that shit ain't new.
It's a part of life. Ever heard of it?
But yeah, fermenting fruit is probably an ancient practice. And like, I just found this next part really interesting, is that some people's intolerance of alcohol might be a newly evolved trait.
Yeah, the human body's like, okay,
That's enough slices.
our podcast is going to die with our ability to process alcohol.
Yeah.
We're quickly approaching.
We're almost there.
We've gotten our White Claws in.
More than 1/3 of East Asians have a light intolerance to alcohol because the metabolization process produces an excess of toxic acetaldehyde.
Your body,
enzymes.
yeah, their body's like straight up no.
Yeah. And scientists have strong evidence to suggest that this trait is new. They did not always have this intolerance. It developed within the last 20,000 years, roughly coinciding with the domestication of rice.
Huh.
So the idea is, like, if you overindulged in alcohol, you died. And so this, like, intolerance of alcohol was naturally selected for to, like, keep people from consuming too much of the delicious rice wine that they were making.
I get it. I had one bad tequila night and never again.
There you go. My body has evolved very rapidly within the last 4 years to avoid.
Yeah.
Mine is whiskey. But
my body is a wonderland.
Yeah.
Not a good wonderland, but
I wonder all the time how I made it this far.
It's wonder in the questioning way. Yes. Yes. How did we get this far?
So because this intolerance is like a new trait, it's possible that cavemen could have actually been better drinkers than the modern population. So maybe if you're paleo, you should drink more alcohol.
They actually found artifacts in a cave of like beer pong, the OG.
What?
No,
that's
not true.
Oh.
I believed you for a second.
I mean, maybe it's true. Who knows?
I was so ready
the
to believe
history
you.
of beer pong. I know. I want it to be true.
I know, me too. I like that.
Yeah, when you're not out hunting and gathering, you've got some extra time on your hands. You got to make games.
I'm sure they had lots of fun games. I want to have a paleo game night where we play pre-agricultural games.
What? Like what?
I don't know. Ancient beer pong, whatever the fuck they
Here,
played.
try this meat. Is it deer? Is it Alkencow? What is the cow?
An Aroncock?
Arncock.
An Arncock.
Aren't you glad I didn't say cock?
Arock?
My Arn is the size of my cock.
Which
My Arn can pierce the cock.
I accidentally pulled up a giant picture of the Auroch on YouTube, and can we just acknowledge it so people aren't like, why did that pop up? It's right here.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
fucking huge.
There it is.
They're
big,
big.
boys.
They look like a big longhorned bull.
Yeah, or like a not as shaggy bison with big
They're
horns.
cute.
Yeah.
Are they? They're
I
kind of
think they are.
scary.
Look at their little eyes. Freaking cute, like a little dog.
What if that
Okay.
was Chick-fil-A's mascot?
I mean, it basically just looks like a longhorn bull. You're right.
Yeah. Anywho,
Anyway.
here to derail the show anytime you guys want.
All right. Cool. This is all to say that our digestive systems have like actually changed a lot since the Stone Age. This is not to say that agricultural diets are inherently superior to hunter-gatherer diets. Human health actually did decline after the agricultural revolution because humans went from eating a really diverse diet of plants and animals to a monotone diet of primarily grains. So like going from all kinds of vitamins and minerals to just grains is obviously not good for us. But modern humans with the financial means have access to a wide variety of food. So it's not all or nothing. It's not eating mostly meat and vegetables or eating only grain, obviously.
Right. It's eating Doritos and Halloween candy.
Yes. Diversify your diet.
Create a portfolio.
We've also been genetically adapting to our new diet since the agricultural revolution, but one thing we haven't had time to adapt yet to is the modern invention of refined carbohydrates, and these can be a real threat to people's health. So if you're looking to be healthy rather than cutting out dairy and greens, probably the best thing you can do is limit highly processed foods and sugars. And I don't do that. And again, I'm not telling you how to eat. If you like paleo and it makes you feel good, then obviously keep doing it. That's fine. What I am saying is that it's important to have skepticism and do your research about fad diets, and especially all or nothing type diets like paleo.
Yeah, especially a diet that some person wrote an article in 2000 or something.
Yeah.
And it's been around for 21 years.
Yeah, just be careful, especially because it tends to be a gateway to becoming really intense about it. And the intense side of the paleo diet is fasting for 36 hours and then binging on meat, which that just sounds like a fast track to an eating disorder. So be careful with fad diets. I'm not a fan of them. Be careful and do your research.
Yeah. Diet culture is very successful and preys on especially young women, but young
Definitely.
people, and there's a huge issue
Yeah.
with it. So find
There-
what works for you, but make sure it actually works
Yeah.
for you.
Exactly. But yeah, I just found the subculture around paleo really fascinating, and I hope you did too. And
Sweet,
that was
I
my lesson.
did. Can't wait to get some hate mail
I
from
know,
paleo
the
people.
paleos. Can't wait.
Paleo pals.
My sources are New York Times article called "The New Age The New Age Caveman and the City" by Joseph Goldstein, the Paleolithic Diet Wikipedia page, a Life Science article, called "What is the Paleo Diet" by Alina Bradford, Discovery Magazine article called "Paleo Mythic: How People Really Lived During the Stone Age" by Marlene Zuck, NPR.org, an article called "The Evolutionary Whodunit: How Did Humans Develop Lactose Tolerance" by Helen Thompson, SmithsonianMag.com. The article is called "How Cheese, Wheat, and Alcohol Shaped Human Evolution" by Brian Handwork, NationalGeographic.com, and TheWashingtonPost.com. There we go.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
I've always been interested in it, but not enough to actually research it myself. So this
There you
was
go.
Perfect. All right. Are we ready for my lesson?
Yes.
Okay. So this week, I really just kind of followed a curiosity I had, and I was like, well, I'm reading enough about it. Might as well just do it for night class.
There you go.
So I just really wanted to know. I was in my staff meeting and I was like, how do queen bees become queen bees? Are they born queen bees? Like, how does that happen? How does Beyonce become Beyonce? So we're learning about bee shit this week.
I love it. Queen bees are fucking gross.
They're gross. What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like they just poop out babies and they're huge.
That is true. They are the biggest bitch in that hive.
Don't like that. They're too big. They're like the size of your hand.
You have to be able to spot them. You know, you have to know who's the queen. You don't want to have an undercover queen and you accidentally disrespect her and she kills you.
Disgusting.
They are literally the biggest. Queen bees are the only sexually developed female in the colony. And you're right, she just lays eggs the entire day. That's like almost all she does. And the entire future of the colony lies on her back, like no big deal. She also manipulates other bees.
What a bitch.
She produces chemicals that just influence their behavior. For example, they release chemicals that stop the other female worker bees' ovaries from functioning. So they literally just can't have sex and, you know, make their own kids.
She's like neutering her dogs.
Yeah, every day, just constantly releasing this chemical. And a queen bee doesn't become a queen bee by accident. They're not born queens. Scientists once thought that it was completely random how the worker bees choose their future queen, and we're still not sure how they do it, but we know how they become the queen bee. And so when the larvae are young, the worker bees feed all of the larvae. Is it larvae or larva?
Larvae is plural, larva is singular.
Okay, so they feed all of the larvae a special food called royal jelly, and it's much richer than the normal larva food, and it helps them create a possible future fertile queen. Royal jelly is produced from a gland in the worker bees' heads called the hypopharynx. And the royal jelly is milky and yellow.
Ew, and it comes from their heads?
Yeah.
This is why I said ew. I feel like every time I learn about bees, I'm disgusted.
You're like, God, no, I don't want to save the bees.
I don't.
It's made of digested pollen and honey or nectar.
And they make it in their heads?
Yes. It has a ton of nutrients and it's like a superfood for bees, but it's also started to be marketed towards humans as a superfood too.
Don't take the royal jelly. That's
Yeah,
for
they do.
the bees.
That's our first slide is just a picture of some royal jelly. There's plenty of it. You can just buy it. I mean, it literally does nothing for humans.
Yeah.
But they think that since it does so much for the bee larvae.
People are so stupid when it comes to like health food shit.
I wonder if royal jelly is paleo.
Probably.
It probably is. So all of the larvae get the royal jelly until the third day of them being in the cells. On day 3, the royal jelly diet is cut off for most of them. The worker bees choose just a few of the larvae to stay on the royal jelly diet, and the rest of them are switched over to the normal, just less nutritious diet.
Fuck y'all.
Fuck you guys, you're not queen material. Sorry, try again. It's a no from me, dog. The royal jelly triggers development that typical worker bees don't experience, like fully developed ovaries. So they do still have ovaries, but they're not fully developed like the queens are. So the next picture is a picture of the queen bee pupa.
Ew.
She's all, it just looks like a bee, but it's all white and huge.
That
she
is
like
it.
takes up the whole cell.
Hideous.
Yeah. And if a queen bee is born before the other ones, she will search down, hunt out, and kill the other potential queen bees who are still developing in their cells. So she'll be like, fuck you, I was born first. But if a few queen bees, show up to the party at the same time, they're all born or hatch from their cell at the same time, they fight to the death. And there can only be one.
Has anyone ever filmed one of these bee fights?
Oh, I'm
I
sure.
would really like to see
I
that.
feel like we have to, we know for a reason, right? I should have looked that up.
I just wanted to place bets on a queen bee.
Mm-hmm. I do too. It'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They fight. The queen bee stays fertile her entire life. Her main job is to regulate the unity of the hive and just lay a ton of eggs. Sometimes the queen might be forced into retirement, and exactly how that goes depends fully on the hive. They might just be like, okay, you're getting up there, you're kind of old now, we're ready for a new queen. So they might just all collectively decide to kill her, or they might just let her live out the rest of her life and pick a new queen bee until she dies naturally. But they live a long time, like 6 years on average.
Wow. Is that longer than a normal bee?
Yes, a normal bee. I will talk about the rest of our hive, and then I'll end with some interesting studies that have been done on bees. So it is a very harsh caste system. Worker bees can live from about 4 to 9 months in the winter, but during the summer season, they live for about 6 weeks before they die of exhaustion.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
they're working.
They're just going, and it's no wonder the queen bee lays so many eggs, because they cycle through a lot of bees really quickly. Alec, you can go to the next picture. It just shows the difference between a worker bee, the male bees, and
Oh, she's
the
not that
queen bee.
big. I thought
mean,
she
she's
was
like-
bigger.
Almost twice the size of a worker bee.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. But I thought in my mind she was insanely big. I don't know why I thought that. She also has a blue spot on her back. What
Yeah,
is
I
that?
don't know that is not normal.
That's how
just a
beekeepers
picture.
mark them with a paint pen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's talk about the worker bees. All of the worker bees are female. They're all hatched from fertilized eggs from the queen. The queen decides if she wants to have more female bees or more male bees, which are called drones. All of the male bees are hatched from unfertilized eggs.
Whoa.
And she just decides the gender of her spawn.
So she can lay eggs and they'll hatch into males if she's not fertilized?
Yes. So she only has sex for a couple of days. The drones are only there having sex with her for a couple of days, and she stores the spermatozoa inside of a little thing in her body, and it's released when she wants to have the female worker bees. She fertilizes her eggs
God.
herself with her built up spermatozoa.
What do the drone bees do?
Oh, we'll get to the drone
Okay.
bees. Let's talk about the female worker bees first, though. They can have a few jobs, either getting food, which is their pollen and nectar, building and protecting the hive, or keeping the air in the hive clean. And only worker bees are the ones who have to leave the hive. There's a ton of different jobs they can do. I'm just going to run through some of my favorite ones. The worker bees, when they leave the hive, they travel in groups, and they travel in groups of like hundreds to carry out their duties every morning. These are the foragers, and the rest of them just hang out in or around the hive. They're like the muscle of the hive. They keep up the security and guard against any foreign attacks or aggression. Some convert nectar to honey in the kitchen. They're the Gordon Ram's bees. That's the exact reaction I was expecting. Others keep the hive cool. They literally just beat their wings forever.
They're like a fan.
They are the fans of the hive. No wonder they die within just weeks, because that sounds fucking exhausting. There are bees that are pharmacists, basically. They're called, some call them the apothecaries. They convert resin from trees into propolis, which they use around the hive.
For what?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Medicine
for vibes. The royal chefs make the royal jelly for the queen. There are informants that hang out around the hive and at the entrance. They monitor the environment and pass along any important information to the working bees inside of the hive. So I don't know if it's raining. They're like, wear your raincoat.
How do they tell them stuff?
Bees have a very interesting way of communicating, which we'll get to a little bit more, but it seems like the way that they move is their main way of communicating with each other.
Wow.
Yeah. There are foster mothers who nurse young bees into adulthood. The queen bee is just too busy laying eggs and eating royal jelly. There's architects, and there are sanitary inspectors who fix any holes or leaks in the hive and just make sure that there's no predators in the hive and just keep it really clean.
It's so crazy.
I know. So the worker bees do a waggle dance while they're foraging to alert any other bees if they've found raw materials like nectar. The dance tells them the direction. This dance tells them the direction and the distance of the raw materials, so they don't have to talk like we normally do. But basically what they do is, and I have a video of this, I believe, the bee's direction tells what degree from the sun the food is relative to the hive, and how much they waggle tells the bees how far away it is.
What the hell?
It's just so advanced.
They're too smart.
They're way too smart. Them and crows. Crows are smart as fuck too.
I'm not scared of bees because I think they'll sting me. I'm scared of them because they're too smart.
They'll remember.
It's not right.
They'll know my face.
It ain't natural.
It's not paleo. So those are the worker bees. They go through different phases once they're born. They start out in phase 1 after they emerge from metamorphosis. They start working immediately. They clean the cells. Phase 2, they grow up and they nurse the younger bees. Phase 3, they kind of get more into their niche, whether it's construction of the honeycomb or security. That lasts about a few weeks. And then phase 4, the last one, is they start foraging for the pollen, which is like the most important thing that bees do. Most worker bees leave the nest as they feel death approaching. But if a bee dies inside, there are actually undertaker bees that remove the body from the hive.
What job would you want?
Definitely undertaker.
Yeah, it seems like the easiest.
Yeah, let me just shoo you away.
That's it. I would not want to be the fan.
Actually, no. I want to be a male bee. I want to be the drone.
Do they just have sex all day?
Yeah. That's literally all they do. They're smaller than the queen, but they're larger than the worker bees. They don't sting. They don't work. They just eat and have sex.
That does sound better.
But each guy only gets one shot and one shot only, because once he has sex, he dies.
Oh, then probably not worth it.
Probably not. I want to be the queen bee.
That's true. That would be the best.
Some royal jelly, live for 6 years, manipulate people. Sounds fun.
How do they choose their job?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if they really choose it or if it's just kind of like, we need you over here. We're adopting you into the construction crew, or you're going to be over here.
And I'm just like, how do they all just do what they're supposed to do? Like, are there police bees that like kill the bees that aren't doing what they're supposed to do?
I don't think they really kill each other. They'll kill the queen if she's not really fertile anymore, if they need to. It seems there's a lot we don't know, and this is definitely not as deep of a dive as it could have been.
There's just like a serial killer bee that's like randomly killing other bees, and
it's called a hornet. They seem to have a very democratic way of doing things, though. They collectively decide to kill the queen. They collectively, organize to make sure everything gets done. Like, I wish I was a bee. Because
no, you don't.
I could live in a functional society.
Haley,
all I'm saying is that if bees have schools, public schools, they're good schools.
But they don't, though.
Do we know that?
I think we can
Have you ever seen the Bee movie? Because
I don't know that I have, actually, but I've seen
The
Bug's Life.
Yeah. The Bug's Life. That's been a super long time.
I had that movie on VHS in one of those squishy boxes.
Me too. I loved those squishy boxes.
Oh, they were so good. But then like you like wear them down and then they wouldn't snap shut anymore.
Yep. Yeah. And then you just have to shove it in the shelf with the rest of them just to like keep it shut. We had like a VHS shelf that just, if they were all in there, they were all shut and it was all tidy.
And then it became a mess if one of them went missing.
Yeah, you watch Titanic one time and lose one of the tapes and it's just a shit show from there. So back to the drones real quick. If they don't get a chance to have sex with the queen, then the worker bees force them out of the hive before winter. They're like, you are useless to us. We can't have any extra baggage during wintertime.
Oh, so
bye-bye.
She's not having sex in the winter?
Correct.
Is she still laying eggs?
I don't think so. I think it's just during busy season.
Okay.
They maintain doing what they can, but there's not really a ton of nectar or pollen out during winter time, so it seems like they're just kind of hanging out till spring comes.
Gotcha.
Okay, I have a few interesting bee studies. So number 1, this Cornell graduate named Michael L. Smith created a honeybee sting pain index by stinging himself with honeybees in 25 different spots on his body. And we have a little picture of all the different spots that he stung himself in.
Why, though?
Do you want to guess the spots that have the highest pain?
Yeah, I can probably tell you exactly. Definitely one would be on his penis.
Yep. How'd you know? What?
Penis shaft and scrotum are different spots.
Penis shaft is one of them. The
Okay.
scrotum is not.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm going to also guess like the inside of the nose.
Yep.
Yep. See, I didn't even have to do this study. Let's see.
Yeah, I think he liked it.
The nipple.
Not the nipple.
Okay,
You
is
get
it-
one
Foot
more
arc.
guess.
Foot arc.
Nope.
Damn it.
Oh.
You get one more guess, Kat.
Back of the neck.
No, it was the nostril, inside of the nostril, the penis shaft, and the upper lip.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I should have
Mhm.
guessed that.
That was
Yeah.
a fun game.
That was a fun
Good.
game.
I'm glad. What would you guess were the least painful spots then? There are 3 for this one.
Upper arm.
No. Oh, yes.
Lower back.
No.
Top of the hand.
No.
Buttock.
Forearm.
No. And no. You get 2 more guesses each. Not each.
I
one
feel like
each.
we've guessed
Top
like,
of the foot.
No.
calf.
No. It was the skull and the middle toe tip.
Ah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it was interesting because he found that the highest pain wasn't necessarily determined by the thinnest skin or the spots that have the most sensory neurons. So that just went to help develop another pain index.
Wow, it's so helpful.
So helpful.
I'm
Yeah,
so
you
glad he did
clearly
that.
benefit from this. Number 2, researchers at Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia, and Washington University in
not
St.
mine.
Louis They wanted to study bees' behavior when they were on cocaine. Specifically, if they would develop a preference for a location where they received the cocaine and if the cocaine affected their foraging activities. Obviously, the cocaine did affect the bees' behavior.
And they loved it.
They fucking loved it. They always returned to the cocaine feeding location, and they even increased the amount of times that they returned to this cocaine-laced sucrose feeder.
See, if anyone listening wants to do a study, just ask me what the outcome will be, and I'll tell you, and then you won't have to do the study.
You don't even have to do it. Yeah, you can just be like, oh, my sources, Kat from night class.
Yeah. Bees will like cocaine and they will harvest faster.
I think that's
have cocaine.
Yeah, that's just part of it. They determined that cocaine alters the reward responses across divergent animal groups, and this opened up the door to further studies on the behavioral impacts of cocaine and other drugs used by humans. Another study did something similar, but with caffeine. The bees fucking loved it, but the colony became much less productive.
Oh, interesting.
I know. I thought that was interesting too.
Well, caffeine can act as a depressant in some animals.
Yeah, definitely with the bees. They did not want to work.
Wow.
Okay, number 3, a study in 2015 wanted to compare the techniques of 2 different bees. The first one was the Australian native blue banded bees, and the second one was the North American bumblebees. So the North American bumblebees, this group they tested, were used commercially to pollinate tomato plants. And when they did that, they would grab onto the part of the stamen of the plant that contains the pollen, and they would shake out the pollen. The Australian bees latched on and then banged their heads against the flowers up to 350 times a second, which causes the pollen to burst into the air.
What?
It's actually way more effective, the Australian way, and they spent much less time at each flower. There's a video of it if you want to see, but
yeah,
you can
want to
just
see.
Imagine a bee banging its head against a flower.
No. I need to see this. Here we go. Go. Okay, here it goes.
You can probably
in
fast
slow
forward to like
motion.
40 seconds.
Is that what bees in Australia look like?
Yeah. Look at it. Just going.
Oh, yeah. It is just banging its head in there. Yep. That looks correct.
So that's that. Different
Australian bees have
folks.
black and white stripes.
Yeah, they do. Look at
interesting.
all that pollen on him now. He's getting in there.
So I'm confused about this pollen thing.
Yeah.
They get nectar and pollen.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then nectar becomes honey, and then do they like mix the pollen in there?
I think so.
Okay. I was just always confused. I don't
know how
I don't
honey
know.
is made, Kat.
Me either. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, that's a great question. They do get nectar. I thought that it was mostly just pollen, but yeah, they said nectar and pollen, at least for the propolis. But anyway, I don't know. Figure it out.
Okay.
Sorry,
I'll do my own research.
My research has holes. I'm not here to tell you about pollen and nectar and honey. I'm here to tell you about queen bees and give you some extra fun facts.
Fair enough.
Last one. Number 4, when humans are experiencing negative emotions, we tend to get in the mindset that more negative things will happen to us unless, you've retrained your brain, gone to therapy, all that good stuff. Research shows that rats, dogs, and birds experience similar tendencies. So researchers at Newcastle University wanted to see if the same was true for invertebrates. So they trained honeybees to associate a certain smell with a positive reward and a different smell with a punishment. Next, they agitated the bees by shaking them. I don't know if they were in a jar or what, I know. And then that simulated an attack from a predator. And then they introduced a third neutral stimulus, and the bees treated it as a punishment.
What?
I know, this was hard.
What was the neutral stimulus?
I don't know. I couldn't get through the paywall to read the actual article.
So So they made them mad, and when they were mad, they attacked the neutral thing.
Yes, it could have
Okay.
just been setting down like a teddy bear or
Gotcha.
something. Probably not even a teddy bear because that's actually a predator for them. A cup. They set down a cup or something like that, and they like started attacking
Right,
it.
right,
So
right. Okay.
that study suggested that bees could possibly exhibit emotions and get in their feels.
Aw,
I know.
sad. I don't like that they shook them.
I don't either. They also got them addicted to cocaine and caffeine.
Yeah, be nice to the bees.
Try to at least. Just don't worry. They shouldn't sting you unless you're being a real dick.
Yeah.
Because they do die
Yeah.
after they sting you. So just
Alec is really scared of bees.
save the bees. Why are you scared of bees?
I'm not necessarily scared of bees. I'm
That's a
scared
lie.
of wasps, and I just don't like them flying at me.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
a bee
I
is
react.
flying near him, he has a strong reaction.
Wasps are scary.
But I also come from the South where things sting, and they sting really powerfully, and Kat's from La La Land in Washington where nothing stings you. So she's like, why do you care? I'm like, because I have a childhood of traumatic stings.
Yeah, the South
Yeah.
is different for stings.
That's true. I've been stung once and it didn't really hurt.
Once?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
And I
God.
like played with bees with my hands. Like I was always like they just don't really.
Yeah, they're
sting.
But
pretty
you have
gentle.
carpenter bees. We have bumblebees. They look the exact same. Ours sting the shit out of you. Yours don't.
Mm, okay.
I looked that up recently, and I was like, that's what
why I'm not scared
causes
of
Kat
bees.
to not be afraid. They look the same.
She's not just crazy. All right. Well, my sources are the SciShow How a Bee Becomes a Queen Bee on YouTube, The Waggle Dance Inside the Animal Mind by BBC Earth on YouTube, How Do Honeybees Get Their Jobs by National Geographic on YouTube, a Modern Farmer article by Andrew Amelinix,
Great.
Australian Academy of Science, and worker honeybees versus drone bees facts on YouTube.
Facts.
That's
Thank
my
you.
lesson.
That was really interesting. I really enjoyed that.
Good. I'm glad you learned something.
Love a good bee.
Doing hot bee
info.
shit.
Doing hot bee shit. Well, thank you guys for listening. That was a weird combo this week.
Yeah, this week was pretty weird.
Yeah, we stepped out of the
Weird.
box a little bit. So if you clicked on this episode, first of all, thank you. And then if
you.
you listened to this whole episode, thank you again. And if you liked it, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Tell a friend, follow us on social media, and join our Patreon. We love you. Thank you for listening. And 3, 2, 1,
Class dismissed.